Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. Hope all of you are doing well. This is a video session on daily news and editorial analysis dated 20th of December. Through this video session, I'll be discussing the important news both from the Hindu and Indian Express. The analysis of this news will especially cater the aspirant of civil services examination, State Public Service Commission examination, and one-day examination conducted by various state and union agencies. So this particular session is specifically meant to give you the complete analysis of the news so that it is relevant for the upcoming civil services examination. And before I proceed, specifically for all the aspirant who will be appearing for 2024 prelims, I think most of you must be aware about the schedule of the examination. It is scheduled at 26th of May 2024, and this is a time we are almost close to like December. Now यहाँ पे ज़रूरत है कि आप ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा MCQs के practice करें. For that we have a dedicated test series, that is all India test series named Nishchay. This is specifically aimed to conquer UPSC prelims 2024. In this particular test series, we are providing 4900 plus questions. Along with that, video discussion will be there, demo test and free magazine for content enrichment. So make sure if you are appearing for 2024, you get a hand on this particular test series and practice a good number of questions. For instant registration, you can use this QR code, or even you can reach our website for further details. Now I'll be starting with the news highlight and we'll proceed through the detailed analysis of the news one by one. So the first important news is about India and Israel. They are looking forward with a discussion on the threat that is coming from the Red Sea. Basically, जो concern है इसको लेकर के दोनों countries ने discuss किया. There is something, a threat that is coming from the Houthi communities as well. So we'll see how the things are working. Now, the second important news talks about the RBI that has come up with AIA investment plan, and RBI ने खास करके जो investment AIF की जो investment है उसमें curb करने की बात की है. They have tightened the norms. We'll see the detail to that as well. The third important news talks about G20. The WTO has actually said that the G20 की trade policy है that is becoming more restrictive on nature. The second last news talks about the state that can borrow more on the part of fiscal. So government has allowed to make a compensation on that part. उसको लेकर के NPS की जो compensation करनी है उसके लिए वो extra borrowing कर सकते हैं. And concluding the session with today's editorial, very important. This is about the public health, how the part of the foods which is high in fat, sugar and salt is actually making the part of detrimental health to the Indian youth and Indian population. Very important editorial that you definitely need to think about this, and I'll give you the deep insight to the particular article. Now let's get started with a detailed analysis of the news one by one. So the first important news is about India-Israel. They have made discussions to the threat that is coming from the Red Sea. The Prime Minister of India and the Prime Minister of Israel has made a discussion, and specifically अगर Houthi threat की बात करें, they are making an air strike. They are basically making an air strike in the region of Red Sea. खास करके उस रीजन में काफ़ी ज़्यादा थ्रेट विटनेस की गई है. US is also collaborating on this part. They are giving assistance with multinational collaboration. We'll see the detail to this. But this point is again important for you to understand because ये Red Sea की जो route है वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा relevant है. Now why the Red Sea is important for the map work also for the examination. See, here you can see the Red Sea. This is the Red Sea. The adjacent countries or the neighboring countries include Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Sudan, Yemen, Artesia, Ethiopia. Then we have Jordan, and Iraq is like close to that bordering region. Now, ये मैप वर्क आपके लिए कई बार रेलेवेंट है. यूपीएससी ने अक्सर प्रीलिम्स में डायरेक्टली क्वेश्चन पूछा हुआ है मैप वर्क से. रेड सी बीइंग द सिग्निफिकेंट पार्ट, उसके ऊपर आप देख सकते हैं दिस इज द मेडिटेरियन सी. So complete map you need to check out so that you get a complete picture of this. Now ground reality क्या है, ground situations क्या है अभी. So the situation in the Bab al Madib Strait has been worrying because the companies are after attack जो Houthi rebels हैं, and they're making actually attacking on the ships which is there passing the container ships. The attacks has been prompted for major international companies, और ये खास करके एक ऐसी स्ट्रेट है जो कि सेपरेट करती है येमेन और ईस्टर्न अफ्रीका पर. I'll show you a map. It will make things more clear for you and give you a better understanding on this part. So you can see this is बैब अल मनी, राइट। ये एक एरिया है जो कि इस रीजन पे है, डिजिबूटी के पास में, गल्फ ऑफ एडन और रेड सी के कनेक्शंस में मेडिटेरियन सी के साथ कनेक्ट करती है। सो इफ इट इज आस्क्ड लाइक नो वेयर इट एक्चुअली लाई, तो आप गल्फ ऑफ एडन और रेड सी को एक कनेक्शन पॉइंट के तौर पे बता सकते हैं। सो दिस इज व्हाई दिस रीजन बिकम वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, और इसी रीजन पे ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा अटैक देखी गई है। Now, rerouting the disruptions due because of the disruption that is coming, सारे companies ने अपने route change किए हैं. They are looking forward with the Suez Canal. So the route has been changed, and the route that is now is used is from the Suez Canal, right? So the next route that they're actually opting for through this is, and they're making their route to Europe and Asia through this particular route. In response to that, अगर बात करें कुछ important companies की, like international firms like MSC, they're rerouting their vessel to Cape of Good Hope. Cape of Good Hope से भी ये नई routes निकाल रहा है. I'll show you a map also so that I'll give you a better understanding. Now, London marine insurance market has expanded that the Red Sea area has high risk, impacting the premium ship to pay more. They are paying more. Why? Because the part of the entire length has increased and they're traveling a lot, right? So this is a map, this is an image that will give you a clarity on the part कि किस तरह से रूट अगर ट्रैवल करें. केप ऑफ दिस इज द रूट विच इज देयर, दिस इज द पार्ट विच इज फॉलो टू रीच टू द अदर प्लेसेस, राइट. सो द मैप वर्क इन दिस पर्टिकुलर न्यूज, 3 मैप दैट आई हैव शोन यू इज अगेन सिग्निफिकेंट. Now, US ने mobilize किया है coalitions को. This coalition, the operation is actually known as Operation Prosperity Guardian. So this is important. This can be important for the one-day examination also. The short form is OPG, right? Operation Prosperity Guardian. This is specifically mean to safeguard the commerce in the Red Sea following the series of missile drone attack by the Yemen Irani aligned Houthis. Now the gap, अगर बात करें इस पूरी ग्रुप की, जो ग्रुप फॉर्म की है यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ने, there are several other countries which is also there. This include the country like UK, Bahrain, Canada, France, Italy, Netherlands, Norway, Seychelles, and Spain. So these are the altogether country that is participating for Operation Prosperity Guardian. The group will conduct joint patrol in the southern Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, right? So this can be again important, that what is Operation Prosperity is all about, in which particular location is this taking place, what is its significance, the contributing countries as well. Now, Red Sea Task Force की अगर बात करें, United States ने कहा है that they have already deployed their task force at this particular area, which is a critical waterway. और इस तरह के जो operations हैं वो help करेंगी with the part of Operations Prosperity Guardians. Now, if you want to conclude whatever we have discussed for time being, यहाँ पे आप इस particular image के साथ conclude कर सकते हैं. हाउती की attack हो रही है रेड सी में. You can see this is the region, Nabab al-Madib Strait which is there. This is the Houthi movement, details about that. और Operation Prosperity Guardian और उसके member countries के बारे में detail. So this is the one image that will give you the complete picture, the concise information on the entire matter that we have discussed. Now moving ahead, RBI is actually tightening the norm with the part of fund which is coming from alternative investment fund. और इस चीज को स्ट्रिक्ट करते हुए आरबीआई ने एनबीएफसीज और भी सारे जो इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं उनको क्वेश्चन किया है इस तरह के नॉर्म्स के लिए, राइट. Now, the Reserve Bank of India have actually ordered with a part of regulation when it comes to the bank. It is not only that the bank, the NBFC, the non-banking financial companies, right? They will be also under this consideration to stop the investment from AIF, that is alternate investment fund. I'll tell you the types of alternate investment fund in a while. तो इसको डाउन टर्न करने की बात की बिकॉज इससे काफ़ी ज़्यादा जो रीसेंट बोरोइंग है वो बढ़ी है एंड देयर इज अ पार्ट ऑफ सस्पिशन द डेट ट्रैप इज ऑल्सो देयर, राइट. नाउ रैशनल बिहाइंड दिस डिसीजन, आरबीआई ने कहा है दैट द रीजन बिहाइंड द लेंडर्स and the norms behind making the things more strict with the lenders because it need to curb out with the part of evergreening of loan. अल्टरनेट इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड के थ्रू एवरग्रीनिंग ऑफ लोन की जा रही थी, उसको रोकने के लिए, कर्ब करने के लिए आरबीआई ने डिसीजन लिया. ना वन थिंग दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू टू नो व्हाट इज एवरग्रीनिंग. अगर बात करें एवरग्रीनिंग की, व्हाट इज एवरग्रीनिंग, इट रेफर टू द प्रैक्टिस जहाँ पे जो फिनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं दे एक्सटेंड देयर न्यू क्रेडिट टू कवर द ओल्ड डेट. I mean, you are taking loan to pay our loan. So repaying a loan with a loan is a word that is evergreen as made. Now, essentially masking the true stature of a loan. Now, this move aims to tackle the concern, even the substituting the direct loan exposure with indirect exposures to the investment in the alternative investment fund. Now, AIF होती क्या है? This is again important for prelims. There can be a direct question in the MCQ based question. Alternate investment fund की बात करें, the name itself signifies that it's a special investment category that is distinct from the traditional investment instrument which is already there in the practice. ये encompass करती है that is actually established in a fund. कुछ privately pooled investment होती हैं which attract fund from the sophisticated investor both from the domestic and foreign. It's not only that individual from the domestic country will be making the fund and the corpus, the foreign entity can also contribute. Primary purpose है to pool the fund की pooling की जाती है, so that is the one main aim, and it is actually regulated by the SEBI. So SEBI is the one which is taking care with the part of entire regulation. SEBI is a market regulator that regulates the entire part. Investment की अगर बात करें, now, AIF also provides the range of investment option and strategy that is defined by the SEBI regulations and guideline. Now, the other thing that is important for you to know is about the types of AIF. कितनी तरह की alternative investment fund होती है? There are three categories basically. The first category cater the infrastructure fund. उसके बाद जो दूसरी category है that is the venture capital fund. Then we have angel fund and social venture fund. Now this is very important. There can be a direct question from the prelims as well. Category 2 के अंदर private equity fund आती है. Then we have real estate fund, debt fund and fund of fund. इसे FOFB कहते हैं. You have mutual fund with fund of fund as well. Category 3 has a hedge fund and pipe fund, right? So these are the three broad categories of AIF that is operating in India. Now, moving ahead with other news, that where WTO has actually come up with the report, and it says जो कि G20 की rules and regulation है, it is creating problem for more restrictive norms of trade and balances. So according to WTO, the World Trade Organization, they have come up with a detailed report, and it says that the trade measure introduced by the G20 countries, जो G20 के member countries हैं, they have become more restrictive in the recent months. So there's a comparison how it has become restrictive. Now, findings की अगर बात करें report के, this was a report which was there at 30th report that was finalized by the WTO, World Trade Organization, और इसमें इन्होंने बताया है कि जो G20 की policies हैं वो हिंडर कर रही है part of the trade and investment. This was the report that was from midway till the part of May and October 2023. तो May से लेकर के October के बीच की है. So this timeline is also important for you to understand the trend where it is actually working. The report has noted कि जो merchandise trade है that covered the facilitating measure has continued to exceeded and even it was covered by the restrictions as well. So जिस वजह से trade for that particular part it has actually deteriorated, right? According to the trade reports, it says that the export part has gained significance in 2020 और COVID-19 के बाद भी काफी ज़्यादा situation worst हुई थी. Why? See, once the COVID was there, there were a lot of stalled in the complete part of the trade. कोविड-19 के बाद जिस तरह से यूक्रेन की वॉर हुई और फूड सिक्योरिटी की क्राइसिस बढ़ी, उसके बाद से भी ट्रेड बैलेंसेस में डिस्टर्बेंस हुई. The WTO Director General has said that G20 as a leader has been looking for the economic stability and growing unwinding recipient of the long restrictions on this trade. Now, some concern that has been highlighting, अगर बात करें इंडिया के specifically, under the pressures, better part of the weak demand is also there from the Western countries. I mean, if you look at the trade, the part of demand which was coming from the Western countries has been lowered, and this is a significant part where India is also lacking on that. Now, demand due to China, China में भी slow demand देखी गई है. The major prosperity sector has been crisis contributing to the slowdown. Now, for the first time since 2015, it has been seen that the average of 9.8 new trade restrictions has been down to by the G20 economies, and the period output has been facilitating with the measure of 8.8. So these are some of the part where the India definitely need to be concerned about that, and a global order trade की बात करें, this need to be taken with the part of due process. Now, G20 specifically, the member countries include India, Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, Japan, Russia, UK, and US are among the member countries, right? Now, G20 is actually a mix of one of the largest advanced economies. It represents 2/3 of the world populations, right? Then it has 85% of the gross domestic produce or product. 80% of the global investment coming from the G20 countries, and 75% of the global trade. These factual information will again be relevant for many other examinations. This time also UPSC has asked question with regards to G20 in many multiple examinations that is conducted by UPSC. Now, center has raised borrowing limit for the state under the NPS commitment. So the center has actually allowed state to make a borrowing, specifically when it comes to make an additional requirement with the NPS commitment for the current fiscal year. Now, permissions दी गई है for additional borrowing. This borrowing was actually allowed by the Department of Expenditure, Ministry of Finance, and this is the number. You don't need to know the number, but you need to remember the state. 22 states has been given the permissions to use the additional contribution to the contribution की गई थी NPS की तरह, उससे वो withdraw कर सकते हैं additionally. The norm's net borrowing ceiling has been fixed to 3%. They cannot borrow more than 3%. And even this was also recommended by the 15th Finance Commission. ये 15th Finance Commission ने भी अपने recommendations में कहा था. Additionally, 0.5% of the linked part can also be there for the permitted sector to specific states, and states are eligible to borrow 1.43 lakh crore recommended for Power Ministry for financial year 2024. Right. Now, states that is reverting to OPS, see, there are 2 points of retirement that is working. This is old pension scheme, and we have NPS, that is new pension scheme. Post 2004, we have seen that government has actually allowed only NPS. 2000 के बाद जिन लोगों की भी रिक्रूटमेंट हुई है गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में, उनको NPS के थ्रू दिया जा रहा है. उससे पहले जिनकी रिक्रूटमेंट थी, दे हैव ऑप्टेड फॉर ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम. बट अभी काफ़ी स्टेट्स हैं जिन्होंने कहा है that they will be sticking to the part or reverting to the OPS. That states include Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh. They have actually said the government and even the PFRDA, that is a regulatory authority, that they will be reverting to the old pension scheme. Right. The state government has also requested for the withdrawal for contributing to the return. However, government of Punjab ने कहा है that they will continue with the NPS, that is new pension scheme. Now, moving ahead with the editorial, a brilliant editorial that will give you a deep insight. And even this is something which is important for your daily life as well. So it talks about the tax on the high fat, salt and sugar content foods as a view for public imperative. Government need to intervene and come up with the policy measures where they are actually regulating and taxing on the food that contain high fat, sugar and salt, right? So what I'll be discussing, first I'll be looking into India's shift in the dietary habits, then we'll see the non-communicable disease burden. Apart from the communicable disease, non-communicable disease के भी burden काफी ज़्यादा है. How to combat the obesity through taxation, because this would discourage the part of purchasing the part of unhealthy food. Case for the high tax which is there, GST and nutritional content, and conclusion part. Now, consumption of high fat sugar foods, which we have seen in the recent time, has increased, and it has not only increased with the number, it has also increased with the part of obesity, diabetics and high blood pressures, right? According to the World Bank, 2019 की जो report है, 70% of individuals are overweight and obese in the low and middle income countries, and 55% rise has been witnessed in the rural area. This is something astonishing. I personally feel that this need to be seriously taken into consideration. Before I proceed detail with that, I just wanted to give you an additional information about a YouTuber whose name is Food Farmer, right? आप उसके ज़रूर YouTube channel को check करें, right? There you will get the details that how much calories and how much sugar it being used. I don't recommend usually the channel, but this is one which you can definitely look upon. Or these are on my personal suggestions that you should actually avoid consuming less food or packet food which is there. I'll tell you what are the consequences of that. We'll be discussing throughout through our discussion. Right? Now, India के अगर पैटर्न डाइटरी पैटर्न हैबिट्स में देखें, the ultra food processing food sector has witnessed the compounded annual growth of 13.4%. This is the ग्रोथ रेट दैट हैज़ बिन विटनेस्ड, और पूरे वर्ल्ड में ये देखा गया है कि शुगर की कंजप्शंस काफ़ी ज़्यादा बढ़ी हैं. इंडिया में भी, इंडिया जो वर्ल्ड की सबसे ज़्यादा बड़ी शुगर कंजप्शन कंट्रीज़ में मानी जाती है, प्रोड्यूसर्स भी हैं, वहाँ पे भी शुगर की कंटेंट बढ़ी है. अबाउट 50 to 60% ऑफ एडिबल शुगर, सॉल्ट एंड फैट इज प्रोड्यूस्ड इन इंडिया एंड कंज्यूम्ड विद द प्रोसेस इंडस्ट्री. जितनी भी कंजप्शन, जितनी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग होती है, उसमें 60% जो कंजप्शन है वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ पैकेट इंडस्ट्रीज में जाती है, राइट. So we have seen that snacks, soft drinks, and other part has the highest level of this, and they are actually making 30 billion in the last year, right? So you can see the people, they are investing money in this, and the trend is not only significant for the health but also impair the part of productivity and economic growth. It is not that individual are consuming, ultimately इसकी burden health risk पे भी है, और वो हेल्थ रिस्क अगर पोटेंशियल यूथ को होगी तो उनकी कंट्रीब्यूशन इकोनॉमी में भी काफी लॉन्गर रन में इम्पैक्ट करेगी. There's urgent intervention that is required to curb the escalation consumption on these products. Now, non-communicable disease की अगर burden की बात करें, see if you look at India, specifically non-communicable disease की जो burden है वो पहले 38% हुआ करती थी, जो कि बढ़ करके 65% हो गई है till 2019. And I feel that if the survey is done again, the revamped survey or the new survey, this might reach up to close to 70 to 75%, because post-COVID, the consumption of that packaged food and other stuffs has also increased. The global burden shows that 1.2 million that were reported attributed to the risk of the part of dietary risk alone. और इकोनॉमिक अगर इसकी रिपरकशंस देखिए ओबेसिटी की, तो इट इज एस्टिमेटेड दैट 23 बिलियन इन 2070. So overweight people and even the obesity in India was estimated to be around this much, right? Now, if attained, it can also rise to 480 billion by 2060. So we have a health repercussion. Ultimately, we are paying to doctors. We are paying for our treatment after eating something unhealthy. This is something complete. It's a part where we definitely need to consider this fact that this type of action should be abstained by an individual. Now, combating the obesity through taxation, अगर high taxations होगी तो definitely if we have a high tax on that particular junk food, right? Junk food पे अगर high taxation है तो लोगों को ऐसे demotivation होगी इस तरह के लेने में. Specifically SSBs की अगर बात करें, this is sugar sweetener beverages. इसमें 60 ऐसे countries हैं जिन्होंने taxations की भी बात की है. Most recently कोलंबिया ने जंक फूड लॉ भी लाया था. दिस इज अबाउट द कोलंबिया. और अगर बात करें इंडिया की, इंडिया में फैट टैक्स इंट्रोड्यूस की गई थी बाय केरला, विच वाज एक्चुअली सबस्यूम्ड इन द गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज टैक्स. तो ये 2017 में इंट्रोड्यूस, केरला ने इसे 2016 में इंट्रोड्यूस किया था. 2017 में जब जीएसटी आई तो उसके साथ इसे सबस्यूम कर दिया गया. Now, if you look at the details, I mean, something astonishing findings which is there with regards to the foods that we're eating. 7 in 10 Indians are in the red warning with a sign of high fat, sugar, and salt food content, and 5.8 million peoples are die from obesity, diabetics, and heart diseases everywhere. So these are all the other details. You can pause this video and read it one by one. नाउ केस फॉर हाई टैक्सेशन की बात की है, कंट्रीज की अगर बात करें कुछ 16 ऐसे कंट्रीज हैं जिन्होंने हाई टैक्स रखा है फॉर दिस पैकेट फूड, एंड दीज कंट्रीज इंक्लूड साउथ अफ्रीका, यूनाइटेड किंगडम, यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स, फ्रांस, मेक्सिको, हंगरी एंड डेनमार्क, राइट. तो जिस तरह से डायबिटिक्स के लेवल बढ़ रही हैं उसमें ये मेजर ही एक इमीडिएट मेजर हो सकती है. टैक्सेशन कैन ऑफर द टारगेटेड एंड इफेक्टिव कर्व ऑन द कंजप्शंस ऑफ द पार्ट ऑफ irregular practices. Here and there you can consume even once in a month, but अगर ये regular practice में है तो ये societal burden भी हो सकती है. Imparting the part of the such taxes can even promise various countries demonstrating the reductions in the purchase of unhealthy food item. So if we have a high tax, ultimately it will call for less purchase of this particular products. Now कुछ GST rates की अगर बात करें, this is something to give you an idea that कितनी rates हैं. See, if you look at the SSB, high sugar content foods में 28% GST, 12% on the compensatory cess is also given. Iterated drinks में this is uniformly at 12%. Similarly, juices flat 12% के rates पे. Salty snacks is again with 12%. So these are the rates and slab that government has currently imposed with, but this need to be increased so that the people are actually demotivated to make a purchase. Now to conclude this fact, हाई फैट और शुगर टैक्सेशन जो है इंडिया में उसको और ज़्यादा बढ़ाने की ज़रूरत है. इस तरह से जो करंट टैक्सेशन है दैट इज़ नॉट फीजिबल. वी इफेक्टिवली नीड टू डिज़ाइन द टैक्स रिजीम जहाँ पे ये हेल्प करेगी टू एक्ट एज अ डिटरेंट टू कंज्यूम द हाई फैट, शुगर एंड सॉल्ट कंटेंट फूड. उसके अलावा इट विल प्रमोट healthier food choice, promote manufacturing of reformulated foods, improve public health outcomes, reduce the burden to health cycle and care system, foster the national well-being. So this is how we actually need to devise out a policy. Government definitely need to take it's a consideration as a policy measures. अगर इसे policy measures और regulation के through नहीं की गए, then we won't be able to achieve any target. So, pairing with the nutritional literacy, effective food labeling, and high tax on the high fat and sugar salt can definitely contribute in enhancing the health outcome for a country like India, which has the world largest demographic dividend. If our youth are not protected, not healthy, I mean, how substantially they gonna contribute is something that would be a big question mark. Now, answers and discussion for yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is A. So here the statement 3 is not correct, statement 1 is correct, and statement 2 is not correct. So check out what you have marked as a correct option. The second question for the day, I mean for the particular yesterday, यहाँ पे भी जो correct option है वो P है, जो statement 1 है वो correct है, statement 2 is incorrect. So explaining the part of the discussion which is there in the part, आप इसे ज़रूर चेक करें आपने क्या करेक्ट ऑप्शन मार्क किया था, यहाँ से आप करेक्शंस भी कर सकते हैं व्हाट यू हैव मार्क्ड एज अ रॉन्ग. Now moving ahead with the today's MCQ questions for the day. The first question is about the radio galaxy. They release more light to the radio frequency than visible frequencies, thermal emissions than light. They are actually interacting between the charged particle and supermass hole in the strong magnetic field. To participate in the question answer, you have to simply write question number 1 followed by your correct option, that is A, B, C, and D, and you can write that in the comment section down below. Now moving ahead with the other question, that is Sundarban Tiger Reserve. It is located in the southernmost point of the Gangetic Delta. It comprises of estuaries, creek, and surrounded by the number of islands. So do participate, write your answer in the comment section down below. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, queries about test series, admissions and programs, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for staying connected.